It was 8:00 p.m. on November 8, 2016. The entire country was at home. Some were having dinner, some were watching TV, and others were busy preparing for their daughter's wedding. Then, on television screens, a face appeared, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. His voice held the same seriousness that only precedes a major decision, and he declared from midnight tonight 500 rupees and 1,000 rupees notes will no longer be legal tender. For a moment, the entire country fell silent, and then 15 rupees lakh crore worth of currency held in people's homes, in shop cash boxes and hidden under cupboards, became worthless in a flash. Kilometer-long lines formed outside ATMs, patients were dying in hospitals because there were no new notes, farmers couldn't sell their crops, wedding suites ran dry. And the biggest question, what was all this, a master plan to catch black money or the biggest blow to shake India's economy? The world's seventh largest economy demonetized 86% of its currency overnight. But when the RBI report came out, it changed to 0.3% of the demonetized notes were returned. This means almost all black money was returned to the banking system legitimately. So the question is, was demonetization actually successful, or was it modern India's biggest policy disaster? In today's story, we'll explore how this decision was first made, who made it, how many people knew, and what the real truth is as the data reveals. This story begins in 2014, Narendra Damodar Das Modi's journey from Chief Minister of Gujarat to Prime Minister. When Modi became PM, India was grappling with a major problem. Black money was at every tea stall, in every drawing room, and in every election speech. The only refrain was, "Bring back black money." Modi had said during his election campaign that there was so much black money in foreign countries that if it were brought back, every Indian would have 1.5 million rupees in their account. This figure stuck in people's minds. 1.5 million rupees, a person free. Now this was difficult to achieve, but Modi knew that action against black money would have to be taken. The public remembered the promise. By 2016, the Modi government had taken several steps. He introduced the income declaration scheme. He signed a tax treaty and requested information from Swiss banks. But something big was needed, something that would shake the world, something that would be remembered in history. And then came the idea of demonetization. Now, this idea wasn't new. It had been done twice before in India, in 1946 and 1978. Both times it failed, but the scale was small, so no one remembers it much. The idea of 2016 was completely different. 500 rupees and 1,000 rupees notes, which constituted 86% of India's total currency, were to be demonetized overnight. This was going to be the world's biggest demonetization, and perhaps the riskiest. A senior BJP leader later recalled, Modi ji had said, "Either this work is done or my political career is over. There is no middle ground." But the question was how to take such a major decision secretly. When should the RBI be informed? How should the notes be printed? How can we ensure that the news doesn't leak? Because if it leaks even a day before, the entire plan will fail. Those with black money will withdraw all the cash, leaving the government with nothing but embarrassment. This level of secrecy had never been seen before in India, and this is where the real game begins. One day, the exact date is still a secret. A meeting was held in the Prime Minister's office. Very few people were present, just 4 or 5 trusted officials. Modi announced his intention to demonetize 500 rupees and 1,000 rupees notes. That night, without any warning, silence fell over the room. Imagine it. It was like someone saying that oxygen would be out of reach tomorrow. Because India was a cash-based economy, 95% of transactions were done in cash, and the currency to be demonetized accounted for 86% of circulation. Officials raised concerns, sir. The new notes won't fit in ATMs. The size is different. Banks need training. Logistics will be the nightmare. Modi said manage it. The deadline is November 8. Now comes the role of RBI. RBI is the Reserve Bank of India, which prints currency and decides monetary policy. Raghuram Rajan was the RBI governor at that time. The brilliant economist had worked in the IMF. He was the only one who predicted the global financial crisis of 2008. But Rajan's tenure ended in September 2016. He did not take a second term. Why? Officially, he cited personal reasons. Unofficially, there are many theories. He was succeeded by Urjit Patel, completely cooperative with the government. When was Urjit Patel informed about demonetization? According to RBI internal records, only 2 to 3 weeks prior. Imagine India's central bank governor, who should be in charge of currency policy, getting only 2 to 3 weeks to make such a major decision. A former RBI official anonymously stated that this was unprecedented. The RBI was basically informed, not consulted, but work began. New 2,000 rupees notes began being printed secretly. Security was increased at RBI printing presses in Nashik and Dewas. Workers' phones were confiscated. No one was allowed to leave. This operation was clean, India's most secretive financial operation, and interestingly, the size of the new 2,000 rupees notes was different from the old notes, meaning they wouldn't fit into existing ATM machines. Officials said, "Sir, 200,000 ATMs will have to be recalibrated. It will take time." The answer was that the deadline wouldn't be moved. November 8th was fixed. Now the real countdown began. In October 2016, new notes began rolling out of the printing presses. They were secretly transported to RBI offices and select bank branches in armored vehicles. But how many notes were printed? Herein lay the problem. 15 rupees lakh crore worth of currency had to be replaced. But the printing presses had limited capacity. It was estimated that it would take 6 to 8 months to replace the entire currency. This meant that people would be desperate for cash for months after the announcement. Someone must have told Modi this, but the decision remained unchanged. November arrived. The RBI board wasn't even informed of the official meeting on November 7th, the day of the announcement. The RBI board meeting took place on the morning of November 8th, the day of the announcement, just a few hours before. A board member later recounted in an interview, "We were given a paper, read it, and asked to sign it." There was no time for discussion. The biggest monetary decision in history was passed in just a few hours without proper debate. At 5:00 p.m., Modi called his cabinet meeting. Ministers' phones were confiscated. At 8:15, Modi appeared on TV. The world was shaken. There was silence for the first 2 hours. People couldn't understand what had happened. Then the game began. There was a rush at petrol pumps. Lines formed at jewelry shops. People flocked to wherever they accepted 500 rupee 1,000 rupees notes. At 12:00 midnight, the notes were officially banned, and the next day ATMs were empty. Banks were crowded. Everyone needed cash, but there was none. Patients were being rejected at hospitals because 500 rupees notes were not being accepted. Farmers couldn't sell their crops in the market. Wedding food was wasted. Daily wage workers got work but no pay. According to a report by NDTV, over 100 deaths were directly linked to this policy in the first 3 months of demonetization. Some died of heart attacks in ATM queues, while others died due to lack of cash outside hospitals. Someone committed suicide out of stress. But the government said, "Short-term pain, long-term gain." Modi said, "Give me 50 days. If something goes wrong, punish me as you wish." The 50-day deadline came and went. Problems continued, but something else was happening simultaneously. New pink 2,000 rupees notes entered circulation, and suddenly photos started appearing on Instagram. Crores of rupees worth of new 2,000 rupees notes were seized in raids on politicians' homes. Hawala operators were seen carrying bundles of new notes. New notes were found in donation boxes at temples. The question was simple. If old notes were demonetized to flush out black money, where did this new black money come from? The answer was uncomfortable. Corrupt people had found a solution. How? Consider John Donne accounts used. These were zero-balance accounts opened in the names of poor people. Those with black money approached poor people. They asked them to deposit 1 rupee slot in their account and return it. The commission was 10,000 rupees. Thousands of people did this. 10,000 rupees was a huge amount for them. Officially, the money was whitened. The deposit in the poor man's name was then withdrawn in cash. Jewelers sold gold in old notes, then bought that gold back in new notes, black to white. Property dealers conducted anonymous transactions. Hawala networks arranged new notes at a premium. The commission went up to 20 to 30%. But for those with black money, this was acceptable. Even if 70 rupees crore of 100 rupees crore was saved, it was still a profit. An income tax officer told anonymously, "We saw that the system was adopted within 2 weeks. Those who were seriously corrupt had the resources to escape, and the common man stood in line. He waited outside the ATM for 4 to 5 hours to withdraw his 1,000 rupee savings. His daughter's wedding was postponed. His business's cash flow stopped, but he waited because Modi had promised to do it for the country. That same patriotism silenced the nation. 50 days passed, 100 days passed, a year passed, and then came the RBI's final report, which was supposed to change everything. In August 2018, the RBI released its annual report. There was a number in it that shocked everyone. Out of 15.31 rupees lakh crore in black currency, 15.28 rupees lakh crore had been returned, 9.3 rupees%. Wait, understand that again. The main point of demonetization was to destroy black money. If the currency was demonetized, those with black money would not be able to deposit their cash in the bank because they would have to prove their source of income. But 99.3% was returned. This means that either there was no black money in India or those with it had manipulated the system. Whichever the case, the core objective of demonetization failed. The opposition said, "We told you so." Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, himself an economist, said in Parliament that this was organized loot and legalized plunder. Raghuram Rajan stated in an interview that the long-term costs of demonetization outweighed the benefits. Independent economists estimated that GDP growth slowed by 1 to 2%. Small businesses, especially the informal sector, were devastated and millions of jobs were lost. However, the government's stance was different. They said destroying black money was the only objective. The actual goals were to increase digital payments, expand the tax base, eliminate counterfeit currency, and stop terror funding. Was this a fair point? Let's see what the data reveals. Yes, digital payments increased. UPI transactions were almost zero in 2016. Today they amount to over 15 lakh crore rupees monthly. But experts say this trend would have occurred anyway. Due to Geo and smartphones, the tax base increased. The number of people filing income tax returns increased. There were 4.36 crore in 2016 and 6.78 crore in 2019. But there wasn't a dramatic increase in actual tax collection. Counterfeit currency. 400 rupees crore worth of fake currency was in circulation. 15 rupees lakh crore economy was disrupted for 400 rupees crore. Terror funding and stone pelting temporarily stopped in Kashmir and then resumed. So what's the final verdict? This is the question that divides Indians even today. Some say Modi took a bold decision. A message against corruption was sent. Digital India was created in the long term. Some say this policy was a disaster. 100+ people died. The economy slowed, black money came back, nothing was achieved. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. The intent was probably right. The execution was definitely problematic, and the common man paid the price. Those with black money escaped. There are thousands of stories that don't appear in official reports. Apuro Tashne, a farmer in Yavatmal, Maharashtra, sold cotton worth 60,000 rupees and bought 500 rupees notes. After demonetization music, those notes became useless. He did not have the courage to stand in queues at banks. He withdrew them after 2 weeks. A 72-year-old widow in Chennai kept her entire savings of Rs 1.5 lakh in old notes. She did not have a bank account. She could not get the exchange done within the deadline. The money was lost. A small shopkeeper in Sarojini Nagar, Delhi, closed his shop. Cash flow had stopped. He could not get a loan. His business could not revive. These are the people for whom the 500 rupees note was a matter of life and death. These are the people who suffered short-term pain but never saw long-term gain. On the other hand, Urjit Patel left the post of RBI governor in 2018 for personal reasons. He never expressed his views. Raghuram Rajan returned to America. He teaches at the University of Chicago. He occasionally criticizes demonetization on TV. Modi became PM again in 2019 with a massive majority. Demonetization did not become an election issue. People forgave, forgot, or genuinely supported it. The case went to the Supreme Court. Was demonetization constitutional? The verdict came in 2023. The government won with a majority of 4-1, but the dissenting judge, Justice B.V. Nagarathna, wrote that the process was flawed. The RBI is an independent body and should not have been made a rubber stamp. This was the opinion of one judge, but it represented the feelings of many people. So what should we learn from this story? The story isn't just about demonetization. It's about how a single government decision can literally change your life overnight. Your savings accumulated over 20 years can be wiped out by a single announcement. Your business built with hard work can be shut down by a single policy and you can't do anything. So remember one thing, don't depend on cash. Diversify your money, keep it in the bank, but don't rely solely on it. Learn digital payments, but don't rely solely on digital. Keep gold, understand property, learn stocks, make FDs. Because if the government announces something else tomorrow, you must be prepared. SEBI strengthened after the Harshad Mehta scam. Banking rules changed after the 2008 crash. After denotification, digital payments became mandatory. The system changes after every crisis. Those who adapt survive. Those who don't become like the Baparao of Yavatmal. And perhaps this is the biggest lesson of demonetization. Whether the government is right or wrong, you must know how to manage your own money. No one will come to your rescue. Friends, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. This channel brings financial stories, scams, crashes, genius moves, everything. Subscribe so these stories reach your attention every week. Now I want to hear your opinion. Until then, take care of yourself.